Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Anxiety Chicks podcast. I'm Allison Sepanera,
And I'm Taylor.
and I am so excited to be back with all of you, and I'm sure Taylor is as well. How are you, Taylor?
Avoiding the illness spreading everywhere. God, everybody dropping like flies. And I got a little bit of a headache today.
Is your health anxiety related? Like, does it start spiraling when you hear about this stuff with people getting sick?
It used to, not as much anymore.
Yeah,
There's only so much you can control. I've had to really work on letting that go.
I am the same way.
I could live in my house and not leave. That's a way to control it, but
Yeah. I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm taking my probiotic and my immune stuff. I think I'll totally be fine. And then I get like a little stomach ache. I'm like, you guys, I have the neurovirus, and like nothing happened. I'm fine. Yeah, that's part of my health anxiety I'm working on. It's crazy, but I hope everyone listening and watching is healthy. And we're almost around the corner here, especially us in the northeast part of the US that is literally like 3 degrees for the past month. I don't know. It's been so cold. We've had like 1 or 2 days of the 40s, and it feels like springtime. When I'm walking around in the 40s and 50s, I took my first really long walk the other day in like 2 months because it was 50 degrees. And I'm like, wow, it feels like summer. Well, yeah, we're getting used to it, and we're getting over the hump. But I'm excited to dive into today's episode. We're going to do our Q&A, our monthly Q&A. Pumped.
And honestly,
we got some good questions. Yeah.
To start with it, let's start with this question since you just said neurovirus, because that's going around a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people have this, and I think that we should bring a specialist on too. I think a lot of people would appreciate it. But do you ever struggle with, I think it's emetophobia? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, fear of throw up.
Yes, fear of throwing up and throw up, I think. Is it of throw up or of throwing up?
It's throwing up. There's different like qualifiers, I guess, when it comes to the diagnosis, but it can be fear of throwing up yourself or just like seeing people throw up or throw up in general. I definitely have that a little bit.
It's a serious, and I think that's what's hard for a lot of people is that it really is a real thing, and a lot of people don't know it is a real thing, and it can make you, especially with this neurovirus going around, I feel bad for everybody who struggles with that. I know that I've gotten a couple messages of people saying like, I actually never struggle with illness anxiety, but more so with this going around, I can't even leave my house. I've gotten a few of those because they were like, it's so real to me. Like I can't do it. And so yes, that is a very real thing. It sounds so silly to some people. They're like, what? Like a fear of throwing up? But like when you really have a phobia of any sort, it's life altering in how you live each day because it has such a stronghold over you that you find it impossible to not think about it or do anything about it. But I think it'd be really cool to have somebody who really specializes in that because I've gotten like over the years of doing Instagram, that is a serious, serious phobia that I think I get messaged about more than any other phobia.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And as a clinician, right, and working with anxiety disorders and phobias, that is literally one of the top most common. So for anyone listening or watching that, hasn't really admitted or said out loud that maybe that's something that they fear. So a lot of us internalize and keep things inside because we're scared of our own like thoughts about it, scared of our own fears. And it is very real and it's very treatable.
Really?
I mean, listen, everything that comes to mental health and treating mental health in general is hard work. It's not easy. None of it's easy. But when you have, so phobia is a kind of anxiety disorder, right? And when you deal with specific types of phobias, whether it's throwing up or heights or driving, I'm just trying to think of some that I know so many of my clients struggle with, or health, right? Or any health, not just throwing up, or spiders, or just social, right? Being around people. Any kind of phobias, exposure and response prevention is an amazing treatment for phobias, right? It involves kind of slowly and strategically exposing someone to that fear. And it's a gradual systemic process. People hear exposure therapy and they're like, oh my God, you're going to throw me into like a bunch of spider webs or something.
You're going to throw me into a bucket of throw up.
Right. And that is called flooding. There is an actual specific thing called flooding that some psychologists used to do. I've not heard of it in literally 25 years.
Wow.
Probably because it's so traumatizing. So I don't think they do flooding as much. But but exposure therapy is really effective. And it means, like, for example, with throw up, something you might start, it depends on, you have to assess the person who's really struggling with it first. So you have to assess the tolerance level, right? The stress tolerance level. So like, can they say the word throw up? Can they talk about throw up? What's the distress scale of even saying that word? Can they watch a video or like hear sounds of someone doing it? And what's the distress level there? And then what's the distress level when they start feeling sick and it's for themselves, what's that distress? So I know for like my own fear of that I had a little bit, it was really hard when I was little to like hear other people or like if something happened in a movie and like I knew someone was going to throw up, I was like, and I sort of kind of did exposure on myself. I feel like just because of life. And now it's like, fine. I haven't thrown up in a long time, but when I feel sick and stuff, I know I'm not like scared of if it happens now. I'm not like, I don't get panic attacks. I used to get like panic attacks when I was younger. If I was feeling really like bad stomach aches, thinking I was going to throw up. I mean, it's a really real thing. So if anyone wants more information about that, DM me for sure on my page and I'll help you guys out. Okay. That was a little long-winded, but that was important, I think.
No, it's that. I mean, I see that comment more than so many like things. Like when I think about it, I see that so much, and people feel so shocked that it's so common too. That's what's crazy. I mean, before doing my page, I didn't know it was a thing. Like I didn't know it was a real phobia.
Totally. A lot of this is new info for a lot of people. So you're not alone, anyone who's listening to this. Okay. Let's do so one question I want to answer just really quick, which I always put a Q&A on my stories, y'all, by the way, when I do these, whatever episodes. And someone asked me, what's my favorite pair of leggings? So I thought, since this is totally not related to anxiety, I just wanted to say, let me tell you, TJ Maxx has wonderful leggings. People are probably like, oh my gosh, Lululemon. No, I don't own one single pair of Lululemon. Sorry. I know they're probably amazing, whatever. I honestly go to Old Navy and I find a lot of my leggings there, and TJ Maxx. I'm a Maxxinista, and a lot of them have amazing.
A Maxxinista?
Yeah. A Maxxinista.
I've not heard of that.
Oh my gosh. Is that me aging myself? That was a commercial.
Yikes.
Like,
you might have aged yourself. I've never heard of that.
Does anyone watching or listening a Maxxinista?
Put in the comments if you've heard of a Maxxinista.
God, seriously, help me. That makes me really sad. But yeah, so I'm a Maxxinista. That's where I usually get my leggings. Okay, now let's get to the serious question. Someone asked, I have anxiety and I may have bipolar. How do I talk to my psychiatrist about it? So first I would wonder who's asking this question. What are they noticing that makes them believe that they might have bipolar disorder? Or what do they know about that? And what type of anxiety are they struggling with? Because we want to watch ourselves a little bit with like the labels, right? Like the diagnosis labels. The word anxiety is such a buzzword, like meditation and mindfulness. Like it's all just buzzwords that it's really, really important to educate yourself about what really is going on for you. You know what I mean? What do you know about bipolar disorder? A lot of people just throw that around like, oh my gosh, you're so bipolar if they have a mood swing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's not what bipolar disorder is. It's not what it means. It's a really real clinical diagnosis and can be really, really debilitating for so many people. And if whoever asked this question, if you're really struggling and you kind of know a lot about it and you feel like, yeah, maybe that's something you're struggling with, definitely go to your psychiatrist. You said, how do you talk to your psychiatrist? Try and really just be open about your fear around what's happening, right? Maybe you're just not sure of what's going on. A psychiatrist, remember, is different than a psychologist or a therapist. A psychiatrist really is only going to meet with you for about 15 minutes after you get, they're basically there for medication purposes. Okay, let's be real. A psychiatrist will work very closely with other therapists. I work connected with a lot of psychiatrists, and we work together to help in the treatment plan of the clients I have. But a psychiatrist is going to meet with you initially for about an hour and learn a lot about your brain and the symptoms you have. And then they're going to help you understand what kind of medication might be helpful for you. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and do it. Just remember, when you go to a psychiatrist, even if they prescribe you with a medication, that doesn't mean you have to take it. right? You can just go and actually ask questions and understand more about the medication that they want to offer you, and then go do some research and whatever. But those are, if you have any of these types of disorders that are really debilitating and affecting your daily living, I would go to a psychiatrist and just be as honest as you can, and try and reach out to a specialist in your area, a psychologist specialist. So for bipolar disorder, you want to go to a very particular specialist who treats bipolar disorders. And same thing for anxiety disorders and depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, right? You want to kind of think about who specializes in those things. So yeah, I think that answers that. Hopefully it did.
It did. Okay, now on to a more personal question. Do you still experience bouts of lightheadedness with pickleball? And I actually don't. I went to cardiologists. I went to all the doctors asking all the questions because I was getting lightheaded. And some people's fluid balance in their body just needs more balance. And that's me. I'm a very salty sweater. A way to check yourself is when you're exercising to look at your body afterwards. If you have like white on your body, if you see like white, it's more rough on your skin, you're a salty sweater. You excrete more minerals, so you need to intake more minerals. Since doing that, and one I want to talk about because another question was, what electrolytes and sports drinks do you drink? LMNT is the best one I have found with replenishing sodium specifically into my body. We actually do have I think you can get a sample pack if you use code The Anxiety Chicks. But Allison, I don't know about you. They've sent us so much stuff. And since honestly sending me all that stuff, I am a LMNT fan. Even their like sourcing, when you look into, cyanocobalamin. I don't know if I said that right. It's a form of B12 that a lot of people can't methylate themselves in their body. So a lot of us have this MTHFR gene. And so when you can't methylate that and you're getting a form that is not methylated, synthetic, basically, into the body, and you're not methylating it, it's going into your body. And it's honestly been shown recently that it can lead to some of the more feelings of ADHD, depression, anxiety, and all those things. Whereas when it's methylated into your body, it's easier, one, for people who can't methylate. Anyways, all this research to say LMNT and the sourcing of the minerals is just top tier. Like, I used to just drink whatever sports drink was available. And then when I really looked into what I was consuming more, it was actually effective. Like, I remember being like, I drink electrolytes. I was drinking like Powerade, right? Like something silly. But now I looked into that because there's actually a lot of electrolyte drinks. Like, I'm doing air quotes. They're electrolyte drinks, but they don't even have sodium in them. So that's crazy. If you're a salty sweater, I remember I was drinking an electrolyte and I was like, no, I was like arguing with my cardiologist. I'm like, I drink so much water. I drink so many electrolytes. And they're like, what electrolyte are you drinking? And they looked into it and there was no sodium in it. And I'm like, oh, well, crap. So yeah, life-changing. I have not got lightheaded since.
Okay.
I was going to the doctor a lot.
I do remember that. I'm so happy to hear you say that because, to be honest, that was a question I had for you too, to see how you were doing. I'm curious though. Let's talk about LMNT for a second. Okay.
Yes.
Because this is real. And I will say not all flavors are for me. Okay. They're not.
No, that's valid. It's an acquired taste, in my opinion.
It is an acquired taste for anybody listening, but I do feel different when I drink. The orange, I love.
I love the orange.
But they also just came out with this new
flavor. Sorry.
They just came out with this new like sparkling drink. Did you see that too?
So my husband loves them. I am not a fan.
No. Yeah.
I'm not a fan. My husband loves them and my dad. They love them. Not a fan for me. Not a fan.
Love. And here's what's interesting, that I've heard so much good feedback from people in the fitness world about LMNT. Like for recovery, I guess, like fitness recovery, like the actual, like, I don't know, maybe the CrossFitters. I don't know. I don't do a lot of intense type of sports.
It's the breakdown. It's the actual breakdown of ingredients. Like, it's more than just, I feel like a lot of times we're like, okay, drink an electrolyte drink. So we think like Powerade, Gatorade. Come to find out, all those things we were drinking our whole lives as kids, you know how like Gatorade was everywhere as a kid? Like, it's like, oh, here's a Gatorade. One, it's just sugar, first of all. Second of all, if you look at the breakdown of the like sourcing of the ingredients and stuff, it's actually like not effective for us. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you feel different with Element. And I would say even a lot of people love Liquid IV.
Okay, so that's my thing. That's my go-to.
So
Sugar-free
there's
liquid
actually
IV.
sugar. But okay, but can you handle fake sugars?
So I do sugar-free liquid IV for now, and I don't do it every single day, but only because I'm in the process of researching. And I'm really trying to research different types of hydration. That element I can take every now and then. The orange, I love it. I like Liquid IV. I really love the taste, and the sugar-free, I'm like, that's good. I'm good. But I'm still trying to research. Like, there's one hydration pack that I'm getting in. I just ordered yesterday from paleovalley.com.
Huh.
And yeah, it looks like their whole website, which is they only have like 20 different things that they offer right now, is all like all natural stuff, all the stuff. So I'll let you guys know how that is. But to each his own. And this sounds like an ad for like all of these things. Element actually is one of our sponsors. We really want everyone to
It's more about sourcing. Just look into the ingredients.
Yes.
Like actually
Yes.
don't look at a marketing. Don't look at any marketing. Look at the ingredients and look at where everything's actually sourced from. Like magnesium isn't just magnesium. And I hate that a lot of times people look at the back of the bottle and it's like, oh, magnesium. It's like, no, all these brands are sourcing very different. So this is a very long-winded explanation from Allison and I. But
I don't know how we got here.
basically,
No, but I will say, and also you mentioned if people do want to try Element, I will say drinkelement.com/chicks. Okay. You can go get your free sample if you really want and decide for yourself if you like the taste, because I'm really curious. If you can get a sample pack, get a sample pack, because I really don't mind the orange, but the other rest are way too salty for me.
yeah.
Okay.
See, but someone who gets lightheaded like really needs that. Like it's life-changing for me. Like,
Well,
dude, I was like convinced something was seriously, and it was one of those things where it's like, okay, in the past I've had the, oh my gosh, I'm about to pass out panic attack feeling. This was like an actual real, like my vision's going out feeling. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't anxiety induced. It was like actually playing a physical sport. And then, oh guys, I need to put my legs above my head because my fluid balance in my body. And they said some people just they need more than others. Like I drink a ton of water, but it's not about water because the water can't find balance within the body if it doesn't have all those other components. Like water can actually dehydrate you, which I drink. That's another thing. I used to drink too much water and not enough electrolytes. So it's finding that balance. You can actually drink too much water.
No, 100%. Yeah. It's so funny too, because some of the boxes of the flavors that I knew I didn't really love, I wanted to just kind of give to people that I know do love some of this. And so some people were friends of mine were like, oh, I think my friend would really like this, blah, blah, blah. And so I got one person who really picked up like 3 or 4 boxes, and she had epilepsy. And she said, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much. You know, sometimes I struggle finding where to get this. And I have epilepsy and this is the best thing for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'll tell you whenever I have the flavors, you know? So it was nice to feel like, yeah, it really does help people in different ways. All right, let's go on to that question. Long-winded. Okay. All right. Which one should I do? Okay. How to say no without feeling guilty. Okay. This is going to be short answer. I'm going to say, you literally say no. Sorry. I know that sounds abrasive and maybe abrupt, but you have to just say no. And I'm going to suggest that when you say no to someone, do not make it a long-winded answer like our last question that Taylor and I did. You say no, and you say, you know, I can't because of this. And then they might say, oh my God, why not? Oh, but what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. That's so frustrating. You say, yeah, I know. It's a shame, but I just really can't do it. And I hope you have a good time. Like literally, that's it. Boundary, but do not make, if anyone makes you, you know, question what your answer is in response for what you're doing, saying yes or no to, you need to put the kibosh on that by literally not just drawing it out. That's it. And as far as people feeling guilty, you need to really start kind of like diving into your thoughts behind what makes that emotion of guilty emotion stick with you. Like, what thoughts are going on in your brain? What is it that you're thinking about that's creating this feeling stuck with feeling guilty, right? So I would say to myself, I feel guilty right now because I'm thinking blank. And then get really in touch with the thoughts that you're having and, classic CBT, challenge those thoughts. Learn on how to rewire and reframe the way that you think, right? But don't just say yes and yes and yes to everything because your emotion of guilty is too heavy. It's not healthy,
God, doesn't that sound so easy, Allison?
I know. Everyone's like, okay, let me just get on that right away.
Oh, but there's so much power in it too, though. So definitely try if you can. Okay, last question for me. How do you get through a difficult dental visit? I think that is such a good question. The long form answer, like, I feel like a lot of people have a lot of dental anxiety, but here, take it from me, it has to get done. And I don't know how to say that without saying, if you don't get it done, it gets worse. So a lot of times I go into this mode where I know I have to get something done at the dentist that, like, okay, yeah, I'm really scared of this. But what I'm more scared of is if I don't get this done today, I'm going to have a root canal in a couple months. And that's the reality. Like, I remember the dentist saying, like, yeah, we could put this off, but it could just get worse. And then you have a worse procedure that's more expensive. It's like at some point in time, you're going to have to confront the visit. You're going to have to confront it. So it's like, how can you prepare yourself for saying, like, this is what I have to do. I have no option. A lot of times when you give people with anxiety no option and then they do it, my mom's like this. Like, she is the type that will be so scared of something. Like with her Achilles recovery, it has been like, she's like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to tell the therapist I'm not doing that. I'm not ready. And then she'll be like all talk, right? And then we get to her physical therapy and she's walking, right? I'm like, oh, I thought you said you weren't going to do that. And she goes, well, I think some people just have to panic first. But then once you get there, it's like you just do it. Like you have to get it done. There is no other option. So like reminding yourself that. And then also of what can happen if you don't get better. Because I tell my mom that too. I'm like, if you don't go do this, your leg's going to relearn to be this stiff and everything's going to heal this stiff. And it's going to be bad. And you're going to walk with a limp and then hurt your knee and then hurt your hip. And she's like, you're right. But she's got to panic first,
Yes. And just kind of piggybacking on the common fears that people have, like emetophobia, right? Like throwing up. The dentist is also a huge, very common fear. Speaking of like thinking of breaking down all healthcare professionals, the dentist is up there of people that are most scared to go to.
Of course.
Which is so interesting. And I think that really does start, though, with when you're young and you're a child. Because as a child and someone's like in your mouth,
it's weird.
Can be so traumatic. I know.
And the noises, like think about that as a kid. Like I feel like they should do better on that. I don't remember ever having like headphones now they have the TVs and the headphones, but I think about just the drilling and the noise and a guy leaning over you, the bright light. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yes. So they didn't have that when I was younger. Are you kidding me?
They're watching Netflix now.
No, they have specific dentists now for children that have anxiety about the dentist. My niece went to one.
Yes.
Like they're specifically trained for anxious
Isn't
children.
That cool,
I mean, maybe there's like a therapist that works in the office. Who knows? A therapist dentist? I don't know. But
they
like,
read
I don't
you
have
meditation.
But I'm serious. And my sister, I remember my niece was younger, would be asking me, do you think that I should maybe call a specialist? Like for Mila, it's about the dentist. I was like, well, first of all, get her into therapy. That was always my thing because she is a quintessential perfect candidate child for therapy. Like there's just some children that thrive with a therapist. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's my niece. And I was like, do that. Second of all, yes, do research because I think there's dentists now that actually specialize in anxious children that go to the dentist. And she did, and she found a different dentist. And my niece is it's totally fine. She has braces now.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's like, I got my braces. Like, she's so cute. She's gotten
You're like,
through
you
so
hated
much.
the
I'm,
dentist last
so
month.
proud of her. I know. But it's just such a testament to facing your fears.
Yes.
And maybe facing them with people that understand and teach you how to strategically face them, right? Like I was talking about earlier in the episode. And that's just, it's magic when that happens,
Absolutely.
Okay, my last one. Actually, there's so many. Let me see. I feel like I got a lot of good ones. Okay, this is more of like a personal one too. Well, actually, let me ask this one. Sorry. Is it okay to be on medication if you're really struggling to self-heal? This is a short answer too. I don't want to make this long-winded because 1000% it's okay to be on medication if you're trying to self-heal. I personally, I don't even know what that means. Like self-heal, we're all healing, aren't we? At any given time, at any given moment of our life, we're literally constantly healing. We're all on a healing journey. Things in life happen out of our control and totally unexpected throughout our life. We start getting older. We start, having people that we love, like get sick and things get old. Getting older is a privilege, aging is a privilege, but things start happening that are really real as you get older. And even when you're younger. And so we're all healing. So whether you're on medication or you're not, or maybe you decide to go on it for a couple months and then you get off and then you want to go back on a couple months later, who cares? There's no rule book to any of this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Go on. Just the only thing I will say about medication is find a specific doctor, appropriate doctor that can actually manage it for you and prescribe it to you correctly. Okay. Most people listening and watching this probably go to the primary care doctor to get it. Totally fine. But my recommendation is to see a psychiatrist who is specifically trained in sitting down with you for an hour, maybe 2 in the initial consultation and getting deep into how you think and how your brain works, and then recognizing, here, let's try this. And that's a psychiatric type of doctor. So that's why that's so important. So please, if you can and you have the means to go see a psychiatrist if you're thinking about medication or you want to change it or something, please go see a psychiatrist. That's what I'll say, or make sure someone's managing it appropriately. Okay. And then really my last question was, what are some of your favorite hobbies to do when you're stressed and anxious? Okay. Well, you guys, I talk about this all the time. I literally just anything that this is what my book is. It's all about not just hobbies, but just exercises and tools and techniques and what really helps calm my nervous system. And really just going down the line of a couple things I can mention is walking, moving my body, walking in nature, being outside. Even if I'm not taking a long walk, I go outside, I do some breath work. I don't care how cold it is, if it's raining, I just do it. And yoga. Yoga has been my lifeline for the last 10 years that I've been really learning how to teach my body to regulate itself. But it's a really specific type of yoga. Not everyone has an amazing yoga studio like Yoga Home in their area that they live, which is in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. And the reason I love this studio is because it's more about community also. It's not just about I go to a class and then I leave. They have so many community events, and I think a support system is huge. And, if you call it a hobby, I don't know, but I really love being around people. So I go and I make sure I get some classes so I can, I live by myself. I want to be around people, and I do that. And they also incorporate a lot of meditation into it. Some other things too that I do that are kind of helpful for me is I color. So I have an adult coloring book. I knit. I actually haven't knitted in a couple months, but I'm going to start a new project. I've actually started cooking more. And 2 days ago, I just started my sourdough bread making journey, and it failed miserably. So I had to throw everything out and start over today. So that's what happens in life. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'm sharing that with all of my subscribers, like all of my food stuff. So go subscribe to me. But let me just tell you, I looked at the starter that I had, and it was 2 days ago, and I'm like, no, what happened? I'm like, of course. But you know what? It's all journey. And that's just some of it.
We love
Mic
it.
drop.
We love a journey. Mic drop.
All right, guys, we will be back next week. We love you all. Happy healing. Wait, my healing tip of the week. Let me think of one. I want you to start making sourdough bread. I'm just kidding.
Well, actually, maybe.
It takes so much patience, and I am learning throughout my life and my journey to be more patient. And wow, if you are someone who struggles with patience, this would be a good practice for you. So maybe that is my healing tip. You try start the sourdough journey. It's really, really good for your gut too, by the way. That's like a big reason I'm doing it, because sourdough is so good for your gut.
Love it. All right. Later, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.